Lantern here, bringing you all the zoo matchups humanly possible in Modern, and that's a lot of matchups. But today I've got the Summer Bloom deck to show you guys against Zoo. Now, before we go into it, again, I want to express my pleasure with the White Splash. It's been working out like gangbusters in the current meta. Current meta is filled with creature-dominated strategies, and even strategies that are trying to take advantage of the current meta primarily use creature strategies. Like, for example, the Summer Bloom deck, which I don't want to call it a real deck because it feels like crud, but I guess it's a real deck because it even was in GP. Kansas City for a while. It made it into a couple of them made it into day 2. I don't think any of them top 16'd, but it was around and it was just taking people by surprise because if you don't know how to interact with this deck, you lose. Which is one of the reasons why I'm going to show it, even though I really think it's a pretty shitty deck. If you don't know how to play against it, you will lose the game. So rather than get taken surprised by this deck, I'd rather you see this deck played against it. But the White Splash helps out a lot. Boros Charm helps out against all the blue-based decks. Lightning Helix is great against all these aggro mirrors. And possibly one of the reasons why I'm going to cut more Kitchen Finks as soon as I can. And Path to Exile has been killer. Having a Path to Exile and a Path to Exile sideboard is fantastic. And it's better than Dismember because of that fact that you don't lose 4 life for it. You only technically lose quote unquote 2 life because you're splashing for the white. And the fact that it exiles it rather than kills it. Sometimes it does not play well with your Tarmogoyf. Most of the times it does not matter. Most of the times it's better. But here's a game where Path to Exile has won me the game again. So we're gonna watch this guy's deck, and Summer Bloom decks aren't really they're not really focused yet. They're not like a specific deck yet, in comparison to things like eggs or something. All you need to know is that the deck runs these Kangaroo lands and Summer Bloom in order to pump out tons and tons of mana. The deck is also very forgiving to mulligans because you can mulligan down until you get a Summer Bloom, a Boros Garrison, and a Amulet of Vigor, and that's enough for you to win the game. It really is. So here I don't have any 1-drops. I got a Pillar of Flames, whatever. But I have a Path to Exile in my hand, and I got 2 Burning Trees into a Tarmogoyf, and I figure that aggressive start will probably win me the game against most decks. So not having a 1-drop isn't a huge ordeal. Got ourselves. He does an Amulet of Vigor into Boros Garrison. He probably should have done an Amulet of Vigor and then like a Stomping Ground and then pass the turn, rather than this Boros Garrison. It's gonna give me like a half a second against him. It's not gonna let him combo off right away, which is good against a deck that's trying to race. So I see the Amulet of Vigor and I know automatically what he's up to. He is trying to Kangaroo chain a Primeval Titan and then use Primeval Titan to win the game somehow. How does he do it? Who knows? And P.S. This is one of the shining examples of Burning Tree Emissary being a filter to my lands and giving me access to green, and Tarmogoyf being a 12/12. But I know that I've got a turn. Tops. He could Summer Bloom me, but he's not going to get a hasty Primeval Titan quite yet. So I know that I've got to turn to path that Primeval Titan. So I'm going to have the ability with these guys to swing in. Timegift gets buffed. Very cool. And here I've got the ability to Pillar Flame and Lightning Bolt him, making Tarmogoyf a 3/4. Swing in for a boat ton of damage. Not only that, but have damage with these burns. Keep my mana open for Path to Exile. And here's something: Dismember would not have killed Primeval Titan. Primeval Titan's got a 6 butt. Dismember does not kill 6 butts. Path to Exile, however, does. So he's got the mana to put the Primeval Titan out there, and not only that, he's got the mana to then no land gives haste, but he's got the ability to basically cast Emrakul after he swings with Primeval Titan. Oh, actually, land does give haste. That's right, he gets it. So, Vigor, create tons of mana. Second part of the chain is to use Primeval Titan to get out Slayer's Stronghold and Boros Garrison. Use it to pump your Primeval Titan up to an 8/6. Swing with it so that you get more stuff, and you can go ahead and get whatever you want at this point. Teetering Peaks, more Kangaroo lands, some form of protection, maybe Trample, with Keswick Wolf Run. Who knows? That's really the part that's up to the deck designer, and that hasn't really been focused yet as to what would be the best choice. Here he's going to be swinging with 10 damage here, and he's going to hit me with 10 damage. Actually, he's not going to hit me with 10 damage. the land open for the path. That was my plan. So I'm letting him act out his stuff so he gets tapped out, and he gets all of his triggers in order, and I can slap him with the Path to Exile and force him out. Here, by the way, he doesn't have the mana to. He had to use all of his mana to do his stuff. Doesn't have the mana to use his Mossworth Bridge, his hideaway land. So we're getting rid of that Primeval Titan. That is gone. That's a good game because then I've got the rest of what I need up. Now, I was a turn behind this game. I think I could have very decently won the game should it have been like my go. But since I won game 1, which I'm not going to argue, I probably could have won the game. I take this because I've got a Qasali Pride Mage and Path to Exile. Those are the main reasons that I take it. Will it pay off? No, it won't. I needed some earlier aggression. Like, I was hoping I was going to draw like a Loom Lion or a Kurdape here, and it never happens. Should I have had some earlier aggression, I might have been able to play this a little differently. But he gets the Amulet of Vigor he needs. I think he drew it. That's really part of the chain. Again, they're going to Amulet of Vigor into Boros Garrison. If they get Summer Bloom, they're going to Summer Bloom 3 times to get 6 mana. Cast themselves a Primeval Titan. Give it haste. Swing in for the win. Give themselves more mana. Trample, whatever they want to do there, and shit goes down. I'm just going to speed up here because there's really nothing to do. Again, I'm a turn behind. I really have no interaction. I'm keeping my mana open for path to Exile so that I can kill off Primeval Titan. Him getting the other Amulet of Vigor is what kills me. Because I would need to be able to Qasali Pride Mage away the first Amulet of Vigor, and then when he had the second one, I couldn't deal with it. This deck does crumble to interactivity. Discard and counterspells get rid of it, so Junk and other counterspell-y decks have a good matchup against it. But that's game here. He's gonna get the Primeval Titan, get the Mossworth, make Primeval Titan big enough, and he's gonna cast an Emrakul off of it. Nothing I could do there. And so that's the end of that game. There's nothing I could do. We don't have much interactivity, but we've got enough that'll push through it. And just so that you guys know what I sided in, what I sided out. I sided out Pillar of Flames. Sided out 4 of them because I'm not killing any weenies. I'm not killing anything that's sort of blocking my way very often. Yes, it's burn that could be used towards the face, but Boros Charm does more damage, thus I wanted it more. Lightning Helix and Lightning Bolt does both more damage. Path to Exile is more relevant. I believe so I take out all 4 of my my Pillar of Flames and 1 Boros Charm, so that way I can. I guess in retrospect it should have been just 1 Lightning Helix and all 4 of my Path of Pillar of Flames, so that way I could have fit in my Path to Exile, which hits their problem creature, namely Primeval Titan. Torpor Orb, which stops the Primeval Titan train dead. You put out a Primeval Titan, now you've got a big blocker, but that's all it does because he doesn't get himself a hasty land. And Qasali Pride Mage because it kills an Amulet of Vigor. That's exactly the reasons for it. This is one of those cases that a what do you call it? Something along the lines of like, Ancient Grudge would have been better. But again, I don't know. I like Qasali Pride Mage, and I keep this hand. The reason why I keep it is because I've got an early aggression, and I've got a path, and I could draw into another land. That's my main reasoning for it. Whether that is a good reasoning, I'm thinking I've got about 2 to 3 turns tops to draw my next land, and then I can maybe win the game. I'm relying heavily on this Path to Exile, plus this early aggression to deal some damage. And if he fumbles, which this deck does sometimes, he didn't mulligan, so I don't know if he's going to fumble or not, then it's very good for me. So I don't draw the necessary land, so I'm going to go ahead and just keep applying some pressure here with the Loom Lion. And I'm going to swing for 2. And that'll be it. And he's not he's not fast. He's got these quote unquote mana ramp. I guess they're not mana ramp, they're just mana quality cards. But he doesn't have an Amulet of Vigor, and he needs the Amulet of Vigor to win. Without the Amulet of Vigor, he can't win. He probably sees that he's got a Trinket Mage that can probably block and get himself an Amulet of Vigor. So that's what he's going to go for. Unbeknownst to him, I just drew a Torpor Orb, which stops that plan dead. So stopping this and stopping this in this plan is huge. Torpor Orb does some work in weird decks. Again, like I've said in against rogue decks. A lot of combo decks generally, or a lot of rogue decks that are trying to fly under the radar are using a combo-esque win, which is what this guy's using. And since combo is sort of a creature-based combo in Magic, then Torpor Orb can actually do work. Now here's what I did. I Path to Exiled my my weaker card, aka the experiment one, so that I could get myself a mountain. Why did I do that? Because I need to get that Torpor Orb down, and I know I need to get that Torpor Orb down. Not to mention, I need to bolt this thing before he can get out of Primeval Titan. Luckily, I draw another land. Everything works out peachy. I can bolt and Burning Tree Emissary and Torpor Orb here, which is exactly what I need to do. I'm giving him the chance to block here, which he doesn't take. so because it would save me a card. Here we're going to go ahead and Burning Tree Emissary into a Lightning Bolt, killing the Azura, and then use the leftover mana for the Torpor Orb. Now I think he's sitting here realizing Torpor Orb might have just screwed him over. He can't search, because again, he only had 2 mana open because of, or I guess he had 3 mana open because of Azura. But he chose to use the Azura to sort of speed out the lands, and he would have been able to, rather than Amulet of Vigor. What if that was a good play or not? I don't know. I guess his reasoning was that he was hoping that he could play a Trinket Mage, get the Amulet of Vigor, drop down a land, and then start comboing off with the Amulet of Vigor. I guess that was his hopes, but I've denied him that. And I've got I'm going to use the Lightning Helix instead of on his face. I'm going to use it on the Trinket Mage so that I can use repeatable attacks with this Burning Tree Emissary. Burning Tree Emissary eventually, over a course of 2 turns, is worth more than this Lightning Helix. So I'm going to Lightning Helix up the Trinket Mage. My life total doesn't matter here. As long as I don't dip below a like 10 and Primeval Titan Slayer Stronghold food here, it really doesn't matter too much. I'm not going to cast the Flint Hoofboar naturally. So he's got the mana to put out the Primeval Titan. It's funny, these 3 lands are worth, 6 mana. Finds an Emrakul, is hoping that he can still attack with the Primeval Titan. This guy doesn't totally null out Primeval Titan, just buys you a turn, which sometimes is all you need in the deck. So I'm going to attack all out, with knowing that his thing will kill one of my things, but it'll bring him down to bolt range, which is what I really need. Now, I also can replace the Flint Hoofboar with the Tarmogoyf, so it's not a big deal. And Tarmogoyf here is a what, 4/5? Because is there any sorcery in the graveyard? There is. Actually, yeah, and there's no Amulet of Vigor, so it's a 4/5. And he's just trying to get out some kind of Eldrazi is his plan now. He realizes he doesn't have the Amulet of Vigor here, so that doesn't make any difference. He thinks that for a second he might have the win. He does not. You could explore, drop the Slayer Stronghold attack. That's what I would do. He's got 2 land drops left. Slayer Stronghold. I would have activated Slayer Stronghold there and attacked. Oh, I guess he can't do it anyways because it'll come into play tapped. So, yeah, and I simply put out, and sometimes people think I'm smack talking them when I'm like, I'm sort of like trying to give advice to people that you have an explosive occasionally turn 1, turn 2 combo. With those types of combo decks in Moderns, due to the bannings, they're not really stable. They very easily die to any deck with interaction. My deck has a ton of non-interactive spells in it, but I have a few interactive spells. Burn being my quote-unquote interactive, and then a Torpor Orb, and Qasali Prime-Mage is my main interaction here. And some people, like I say, Stirrings into Amulet into into one wins me a game. Well, yeah, sure, it wins you the game. But I drew a bolt and it wins me the game too. Like, saying sort of like what ifs, in my opinion, doesn't your deck performs or it doesn't perform. It depends on how much sideboard stuff you have, and depends on how you constructed it main deck. Just because you're saying that in a Magical Christmas Land, if you managed to get an Amulet of Vigor out of a card, you would have won the game, doesn't necessarily mean that you win the game. And it doesn't mean that you'll win the game forever. And just because you beat an aggro deck twice does not mean that you wins the game. You're good against an aggro deck either. It's called testing. It's just that's an unhealthy player attitude that I don't like. If anything, you should be asking your opponent, how could you have played differently? What may have won you the game? Talk about the game. That's the better way, in my opinion, if you want to sharpen your deck. And I try to do it often. Here, I'm going to walk you through what's going on in my mind. I can attack all out and get 2 damage, and he'll go down to 1. I lose a creature, and then if I attack next turn, I can't. He'll be able to double block, and I won't get anything through. So the difference here is I choose not to attack, because I'm saying, I don't know how many creatures you've got, but I'm going to go ahead and make this game go longer. The longer it goes, the better chance I've got at a removal spell or a burn spell, and you're dead. Likewise, if you stumble and you don't put a creature out here, you're dead. I've got more creatures in deck that are able to attack, and some of them have haste. So the amount of cards that I can play to win currently is much higher than the amount of cards that he can play to win. So long as I hold back and don't attack and don't let him give a window of an opportunity to take down this game. My critters standing up here, and P.S. if he attacks, his lands come into play tap because there's no Amulet of Vigor. My critters here are representing death on the next turn if he does not keep his up to block. If he attacks, he's dead without an Amulet of Vigor. If he doesn't put out a creature, he's dead. That's really what I'm forcing him down to. This is pressure. It's constant pressure. I'm leaving him in this pressure cooker, not letting him have a chance to win. As of what my deck can do to win here, I can draw any of my 3 remaining Flint Hoofborers and win the game. I can draw any of my 2 remaining Path to Exiles and win the game. I can draw any of my my 3 remaining Lightning Helixes and win the game. I can draw any of my 3 remaining Lightning Bolts and win the game. I can draw creatures, which don't win me the game, but do give me another turn to win the game should he put out another critter. My lines of play giving me the game win are much higher than his lines of play currently. And he's summoning back into a Primeval Titan because he needs blockers. Again, he just needs the blockers. But the only thing he could do, he could stall out the game with pretty much everything he draws. He can get an Amulet of Vigor to win the game, but that is 4 cards out of 41 cards left. So again, I listed somewhere around 20 cards that'll win me the game should I draw it, so that's half my deck. And he's only got 4 out of 41. That's a small amount. So I draw the path here, again, that wins me the game. So there's the path, and now I win the game. And he shows the top of his deck. He's like, oh, I got an Emrakul on the top, Amulet of Vigor, that would have won me the game in 2 turns. I could have drawn a Flint Hoof Boar, a Lightning Bolt. Both of those also would have won me the game immediately. And a Burning Tree Emissary, which also would have won me the game immediately. Also, I don't think he could have won the game that turn should he have drawn the Amulet of Vigor, because he had to pay for the Summoning Pact in order to stall the turn out. So, anyways, that's the nature of the beasts. These explosive combos don't always pan out. They just don't. So, guys, I hope you enjoyed that. I hope this sort of helped you learn how to play against this deck. It's a combo deck that you need to interact with. If you don't interact with it, you're dead in the water. You can't race this one, in essence. The only time you can race this deck is if it fumbles. But you don't want to count on it fumbling. That's bad playing. you want to count on the fact that you can get the interaction you need. Path to Exile does give you that interaction that you need. It's just 2 to 3 more cards, main deck, side deck, that give you interaction against this deck that Dismember the original Racing does not.